Aurangzeb declared the entire Sikh way of life an outlawed heresy. He saw a growing spiritual movement distinct from both the dominant Islamic faith and the prevailing Hindu traditions, and he viewed it as a direct challenge to his absolute authority across the vast Mughal Empire. He believed this ruthless decree would be the end of them, that he was stamping out a potential rebellion. But he utterly failed to see what he was actually building. These people, the Sikhs, were then followers of the teachings of Guru Nanak, a spiritual path founded on the principles of one God, universal equality, honest labor, selfless service, and continual remembrance of the divine. Their gurdwaras, the Sikh places of worship, were open to all, regardless of caste or creed, fostering a community that valued humility and shared meals. They were known for their peaceful devotion, their commitment to justice, and their firm refusal to abandon their principles, even under the crushing weight of imperial pressure. Have you ever considered how the greatest pressures sometimes forge the strongest, most enduring identities, rather than breaking them apart? By the mid-17th century, Aurangzeb sat on the peacock throne, his reign marked by an unwavering zeal to impose his interpretation of Islamic law, Sharia, across his empire. His decrees targeted non-Muslims, who were heavily taxed and faced escalating persecution. Temples were destroyed, forced conversions were common, and the air itself seemed to thicken with fear for those who did not conform. It was a time when standing by one's faith could cost everything. The escalating tyranny reached a breaking point in 1675. The ninth Guru of the Sikhs, Guru Tegh Bahadur, was approached by a delegation of Kashmiri Pandits, Hindu priests, who pleaded for his help. They were being forced to convert to Islam under threat of death. Guru Tegh Bahadur, though a Sikh, saw their plight as an attack on universal religious freedom. He traveled to Delhi, the Mughal capital, confronting the emperor's authority. He declared that if Aurangzeb could convert him, then all the Pandits would follow. Of course, the Guru would not convert. He was offered a choice: embrace Islam or face execution. His steadfast refusal led to his public beheading in Chandni Chowk, Delhi. This ultimate sacrifice is known as Shahidi, martyrdom, a profound act of selflessness not just for Sikhs, but for the fundamental right of all people to practice their own faith. This horrific event, witnessed by his young son, Guru Gobind Rai, then just 9 years old, irrevocably altered the trajectory of Sikh history. The boy became the 10th Guru, and from the sacred city of Anandpur Sahib, he contemplated the future of his people. How could a community committed to peace survive in an age of such brutal oppression? The spiritual teachings of his predecessors had always advocated for non-violence, but now a new question arose. Could righteous defense also be a spiritual duty? Guru Gobind Rai understood that simply enduring persecution was no longer enough. A community needed to be able to defend its inherent human rights, even with arms. The Guru spent years in deep reflection and preparation, training his Sikhs in the martial arts, fostering a spirit of both spiritual devotion and physical courage. He knew that to truly withstand the storm, a profound transformation was needed, a commitment so deep it would steel every heart against fear and compromise. The moment of reckoning arrived on the day of Baisakhi, the harvest festival, in the year 1699 at Anandpur Sahib. On that auspicious day, thousands of Sikhs gathered at Anandpur Sahib, drawn by their Guru's summons. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation. Guru Gobind Rai emerged from a tent, his sword drawn and gleaming in the sun. He addressed the assembled congregation with a thunderous voice, demanding a head, one head for the sake of their faith. A hush fell over the crowd, quickly followed by terrified whispers. Then one man, Bhai Dayaram, rose and stepped forward. The Guru led him into the tent. A moment later, the sound of a thud was heard, and the Guru reappeared, his sword dripping with blood, and made the same demand again. Again, the crowd recoiled. But then, another man, Bhai Dharam Das, stepped forward. 4 times more, this terrifying scene played out, with Bhai Himmat Rai, Bhai Mokham Chand, and Bhai Sahib Chand, each offering their lives. Each time, the Guru emerged with a bloodied sword. The crowd was aghast, bewildered, horrified. Had their Guru gone mad? Was this some barbaric test? Finally, after the 5th man had entered the tent, Guru Gobind Rai reappeared, this time leading all 5 men out of the tent, alive and unharmed. They were clad in fresh clothes, their faces radiating an indescribable calm. The Guru had tested their absolute devotion, their willingness to surrender completely to the divine will. These 5 brave souls became known as the Panj Pyare, the 5 beloved ones. Then, in a moment that would forever reshape history, Guru Gobind Rai prepared Amrit, the nectar of immortality. He stirred sweetened water in an iron bowl with a double-edged sword, while the Panj Pyare recited sacred hymns. He then administered this Amrit to them, asking them to drink it, to become reborn. With this sacred ceremony, they were initiated into the Khalsa, meaning the pure or God's own. They were given the surname Singh, meaning lion, and the women were given Kaur, meaning princess. They were commanded to wear the 5 Ks: Kesh, uncut hair covered by a turban; Kanka, a wooden comb; Kara, an iron bracelet; Kachera, cotton undergarments; and, most notably, the Kirpan, a ceremonial sword, symbolizing their commitment to defend righteousness and protect the weak. In a breathtaking act of humility and equality, Guru Gobind Singh, for he too now adopted the name Singh, knelt before the 5 beloved ones and requested them to administer the Amrit to him, thus becoming the first Sikh to be initiated into the Khalsa by his own disciples. This singular act established the Khalsa as a collective where the Guru himself bowed to the pure collective will of the community. He then declared that after him, the spiritual authority would rest eternally in the Guru Granth Sahib, the Holy Scripture, and the temporal authority in the Khalsa collective. The Khalsa was now a distinct, sovereign, spiritual warrior order. Aurangzeb, from his imperial palace, continued to issue his edicts. He believed he was systematically dismantling a minor sect, clipping its wings before it could truly fly. He saw the Sikhs as a threat to his absolute power, their spiritual freedom clashing with his rigid orthodoxy. He sought to crush them, to erase their identity, to force them into submission or oblivion. What he failed to grasp, what he fundamentally misunderstood, was the psychology of a people pushed to their absolute limits. His persecution did not scatter them, it forged them into an unbreakable unit. This defiance was not quiet, it was a spiritual roar echoing across the plains of Punjab. Aurangzeb's policies, designed to assimilate and diminish, had inadvertently sculpted a formidable force, not merely of steel, but of unshakable conviction. The Khalsa, now a fully realized sovereign body, was no longer just a spiritual fellowship. It was a disciplined collective, bound by oath, ready to defend its faith and protect the oppressed at any cost. This transformation struck at the very heart of the empire's monolithic vision for his Islamic empire. He saw scattered rebels. He completely missed the unifying power of their shared sacrifice. The imperial edicts escalated. Mughal garrisons throughout Punjab were reinforced, their orders clear: suppress these rebels, capture their leader, eradicate their distinct identity. The hunt for Guru Gobind Singh and his devoted followers became an all-consuming obsession for the Mughal court. Yet, where Aurangzeb anticipated swift capitulation, he met an unwavering, almost mystical resistance. Each act of cruelty, every forced conversion attempt, every desecrated sacred space, rather than shattering their spirit, welded it tighter. It crystallized a profound truth. To be a Khalsa Sikh was to live a life of principled defiance, to stand courageously against tyranny. This was not just about survival, it was a profound battle for religious freedom, for the very right to exist with dignity in their own land. And the Sikhs, having embraced their identity in this crucible of fire, understood the price and were ready to pay it. His attempt to ban the Sikhs, to force them to abandon their beliefs, did not result in their disintegration. Instead, it accelerated a process of self-definition and empowerment. The Khalsa, born of this crucible of oppression, became a spiritual army, ready to stand against tyranny, not for conquest, but for the defense of justice and human dignity. What Aurangzeb intended as their end became their rebirth. The very pressure he applied compacted their identity, sharpening their resolve, and gave them the distinct form and spiritual strength that allowed them not just to survive, but to eventually flourish and establish their own sovereign rule in Punjab decades after his death. The Khalsa stands as a living testament to the profound truth that true strength often emerges not from ease, but from adversity. Aurangzeb sought to erase a people, but instead, through his own actions, he helped to solidify their distinct identity, their spiritual military discipline, and their unyielding commitment to justice. He tried to snuff out a small flame, and in doing so, he inadvertently fanned it into an unquenchable fire, one that still burns bright today.